The Trencher Gamma is the nuclear variant of the Trencher, and along with being able to get nukes, it has reduced idle sway, which is very effective for this weapon, because it's really a weapon that you want to be precise with and hit your shots, and it can be usable at range, although it's not ideal. This weapon is very committed to the slow RPM, high damage type of archetype, similar to the HVR, although the HVR was kind of half in, half out on that, and that's why I didn't really like the HVR, because it really didn't have clear strengths and weaknesses. This weapon does have clear strengths and weaknesses. It has more 3-hit kill range than the HVR, but it's also slower. So you can play around the strength of having a better 3-hit kill range, but you can also you have to play around the weakness of having a slower fire, where the HVR was just kind of mediocre everywhere, and that's why I didn't really like that weapon. I think this weapon is a much better weapon, just because if you play around it well, then the weaknesses really won't matter as much. And by that I mean it's not that good at reactionary fights, like in scrappy spray and pray, the kind of close range fights. The longer it goes, the more the other weapon has an advantage versus you, because of the slower RPM. It's going to take you more time to get your bullets out, so if you miss, your time to kill goes up much faster than, or much higher than theirs does, if they have something like an E-Ride or an FHR, which fires much faster. With this weapon, I just like to play around like pre-aiming and getting in fights that I know about and just winning them in close range. Like, I'm still aggressive and I'm still in the enemy's face often, but I'm just a little bit slower than I would be with an E-Ride or an FHR, and I'm just more reserved and pre-aiming. In Genesis, this gameplay is a very good example of that, because this is such a simple map. I often know where the enemy is spawning, and there's generally only like 2 or 3 ways out of where they're spawning, so I can just go to where I expect the fight to take place and pre-aim. I'm ready for it, I have cover often, and it's just easy wins and easy fights. Because I'm prepared for it, I miss less shots, and I'm already aimed at. I'm not having to worry about like transitioning from hipfire. It's very easy to do what I'm doing. I don't feel like anything in this gameplay was that special. I'm just reacting to spawns, pre-aiming areas, and getting easy kills. Getting into the stats of this weapon, it'll be a 3-hit kill up to 13 meters, which is very good for a 3-hit kill range. There's very few weapons in this game that have a 3-hit kill range, so 13 meters on a submachine gun is very nice. If you silence it, it'll go down to 9.7 meters, which isn't that great. With advanced rifling, it'll go up to 15.6 meters, which is still a good 3-hit kill range, but I don't think that additional 2.6 meters is worth the attachment slot. And if you stack both silencer and advanced rifling, it'll be a 3-hit up to 11.6 meters. I wouldn't do this just because it takes so many attachment points. I just use it loud. It's one of the few weapons I don't run a silencer on when going for nukes, because the strength of this weapon is that 3-hit kill range, so I really don't want to do anything to it. And I don't want to run all the attachments, like waste all those points to be able to get both advanced rifling and silencer. The 4-hit range is up to 19.5 meters, which is still very respectable. If you silence it, it goes down to 14.6, which is similar to the base is 3-hit range. So I'm not going to silence this weapon, like I said. I just really think the drawbacks of silencing this weapon it's just not worth it in my opinion. If you put advanced rifling on this weapon, it'll be a 4-hit until 23.4 meters, which is very good, but once again, I just don't think it's worth the points. And then finally, if you put both silencer and advanced rifling on, it'll be a 4-hit up to 17.5 meters. The reason I don't think advanced rifling is worth the 23.4 meter 4-hit kill is because many things are going to be outclassing you at that range anyway, so those really aren't fights that you want to be committed to taking. You probably want to try to limit most of your fights with this weapon to lower than 20 meters or so, just because at that range, like, it's starting to drop off into the 4-hit range, which isn't ideal. It's getting harder to hit shots with this weapon, and like I said, the slow fire rate makes missing shots more punishing than something like that has a higher fire rate. And then also, there's other weapons that are going to outclass you. Like a K-bar is going to outclass you at that range, and NV4 is going to outclass you at range. And those are 2 very popular weapons that are going to outclass you at that range, unless you're just vastly better than the person. And if you're playing to go on a 25 kill streak, I just like to play as consistent as possible. So I'm going to try to limit my fights to 20 meters as often as possible, and that's what I do a good job of in this gameplay. It'll be a 5-hit kill up to 29, or from 19.5 to 29.2 meters. It's a very good 5-hit kill range, but like I said, there's no reason to really go for those kills because many things are going to outclass you at that range. And then it'll be a 6-hit onwards. Doesn't matter to me because, like I said, I try to limit my fights to 20 meters or less. It fires at 625 rounds per minute, which is the slowest SMG in this game if you're not counting the RPR Evo's assault rifle mode. I'm not counting that for this discussion because that's a hybrid weapon that is pretty different. So this is the slowest firing SMG in Infinite Warfare. I said it there while talking about the stats, but once again I want to reiterate that you want to limit your fights to the 3 and early 4-hit range as much as possible, because once this weapon starts dropping off and you're going at ranges where you're more likely to miss shots, and your time to kill is just going exponentially up, and other things are just going to have such an advantage on you where you just want to stay in the 3-hit range as much as possible, because that's where this weapon has an advantage over most other weapons. That's why I really enjoy using this weapon, because I could just play around that 3-hit kill range. That's my strength. I could play around like hitting my shots as often as possible. I just set up easy fights for myself, and like that's how I get around the weakness of having a slower fire rate. And this becomes a very deadly weapon that you just have to play around intelligently, and if you could do that, it's going to be very, very easy to use. It's not something like the K-bar or the E-ride, which is just kind of good in so many situations that you don't really have to play as smart with it. You don't have to play super smart with this weapon, but if you do, you're going to be taking advantages of its strengths and limiting its weaknesses so much that you're just going to have a vast advantage in most of your fights. I like to use reactive armor with this weapon just because in fights where there's so many people or I'm missing shots, the time to kill goes up a lot, and for that I'm going to put on reactive armor so I could give myself a slight edge in that fight that I'm likely to use. Like I said, when going for a nuke, anything bad can happen, so having reactive armor just to pop at any moment and get yourself out of a bad situation is just a really powerful payload. And for going for nukes, you want to have one of the ability payloads so that the kills with the weapon don't detract from the kills you're trying to get with your nuke. My attachments for this weapon are Elo Sight, Quick Draw, Stock, and Extended Mags. Elo Sight and Stock are two attachments that I rarely use on submachine guns because generally I'm fine with the iron sights in close range, and Stock is I rarely use on submachine guns in this game because there isn't much of a reason to. But this weapon actually has a slower strafe speed than the other submachine guns, so that's why I put on Stock. And since the strengths of this weapon is a 3-hit kill range and 4-hit kill range kind of, and that it really punishes you for missing, I just want to put on the Elo Sight so I can be as accurate as possible. I'm not running foregrip because the recoil isn't that big of a problem with this weapon unless you're taking fights outside of those ideal ranges like I discussed, and you don't want to be taking fights in those ranges anyway, so I'm not going to put on foregrip to give myself an advantage in those fights. I put on Extended Mags just because it's nice to have more bullets. 48 bullets with something that has a 3-hit kill is just absurd. It's very powerful and it allows you just to be more flexible in situations like you don't have to worry about reloading as much. So that's why I'm putting on Extended Mags instead of grip on this weapon. And then I also have Ghost, Blind Eye, and Scavenger. You could take off Blind Eye and put on some other attachments and such, but I just like having Blind Eye so I don't have to worry about things like the micro turret or the vulture or any like AI piece of equipment like that stupid seeker grenade. It's just stuff that you don't have to worry about and that makes going for a nuke easier. And then Ghost and Scavenger are self-explanatory. Even though I don't have silencer on, I still like to use Ghost just because if I'm flanking people, I'll get punished from a UAV, but I really won't get punished from not having silencer as much. Do it in that gameplay for the nuke. I flank people. I flank like 3 people and shoot them in the back, but it doesn't matter as much that I don't have a silencer because once they know I'm there, they're dead. Whereas if they knew I was coming before I was there, they might have been able to stop me. So that's my reasoning on using Ghost even though I don't have silencer. That's going to do it for this video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it, and if you're watching this on the Directors of Gaming channel, my channel will be linked in the description below. It's Evolve Jake. If you enjoyed this, you'll probably enjoy the rest of my videos. I make lots of Call of Duty videos, so like I said, if you enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy the rest of my content. So if you could check out my channel and subscribe, that would be great. Thanks for watching.